Yeah.
So let's just keep going. Hey guys, we're
Yeah.
here with Bradley again. We have our weekly weekly being conversation, and we just decided just to go live
Mm,
now and just continue with the beautiful conversation we already started.
yeah.
Brad, you were talking about being, bro. You were talking about being. You were talking about how actually, if you allow yourself to be the place in the place you are, something happens, shift happens, even though you don't need
Mm,
to say anything. You want to say it again, or maybe say it in other words, or maybe just go
yeah.
into that.
Yeah. It's the concept of you can't outdo who you're being. And
Yeah.
it's interesting though, like to talk about being is one thing, but we don't even really talk about it when we talk. We're just being. It's a state. It's just we are. So our conversations are an example of being, love, appreciation, being, creating that first. Like before we started talking, and before I do anything in my life, I'll create
Yeah.
who I'm being before I do anything, right? Because when you do that, you will plant those seeds, right? So if you want to be love, be love, but create that first before you go do something. So if you need to have a conversation with your son about something serious, or your daughter or your wife, if you create who you are and really dial into what you're coming from, your doing will be that. It won't be so.
Yes.
A great example is like when if you're in an argument and you feel you want to continue on talking, right?
Hmm.
And then so what are you creating? What are you feeling? Who are you being? You're probably being impatient. You're probably being angry. You're probably being, you know, you're probably being a cynic. Whatever it is, you're being fearful. And then if you're doing from that state of being, guess
Yeah.
what? You're going to get more of that, and nothing good will ever come out of it. If you take time to sort of walk away, say, darling, I love you. I'll be back. If you have that presence of mind, it's like the same thing. It happens even when we don't even know it. It's like you could be in this argument with your wife and someone knocks at the door and it's your neighbor. And you're like, you open the door, like, hey, Phil, what's going on? Good. You've instantly changed your being. So you can't say you can't do it because we do it all the time. Right? And then so
Yeah.
you go and you create that and you really create, okay, I love my wife. She's amazing. Flip it around, who's the victim? Who's the villain? Okay, now flip it around. I'm the victim. Oh no, I'm the villain. And then really create that. Go back into that conversation. You will create miracles because you are being who you are. Love, appreciation, kindness, patience. That's a creation, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
So
interesting.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to share with everyone who is listening, who is going to listen to it after that. Today it just came to us that we want to talk about being and doing versus being. That's a very common theme in our conversations, anyways. But I just
Mm.
want to make it a little bit more practical for people to explain from my side, and you can add on that what is actually being. Because for some people that sounds like this is something spiritual, something like
Mm.
mystical, something like you cannot grasp it, and that makes people go away from it, right?
Of
They
course.
don't, it just doesn't make sense. It's not practical for people, right? And
Mm.
makes sense. I've been in that place as well. I'm sure that you've been in some point there as well. So what is being? And for me, just the shortest explanation which helped me to understand what is being is it's a state, right? We can just say the word state also. Being is a
Mhm.
state. What state it is? For me, the closest, um, the word which helped me to understand it more is it's emotional state. It's just emotional. Your being manifests as emotion in your body. You just feel something in your body,
Mm.
which helps you when you have this emotional state to take certain actions, right?
Mm.
If you're angry, you take angry actions. If you are peaceful, you take peaceful actions. If you're loving, you take loving actions.
That's
So
it.
understand that emotional state is this is the being we talk about here. It's not something
Hmm.
mystical. It's just the emotional state you are staying right now in this very moment. But
Yep.
what is an emotional state? Emotional state below that is this is our because where the emotion coming actually? Where are they coming? I mean,
Mm.
how are
Mm.
they forming in our body? They're coming from our beliefs and our thoughts, right? That's the simplest explanation. Everything is coming from here for our thoughts, figuratively speaking, here because they can come. It's not only coming from our brain, sometimes from our intuition, from wherever. we believe in our life, and how the belief we formed, or maybe our ancestors formed before that. So we don't fully know where they're coming from, but we know that the thoughts and the beliefs we have are creating the emotions. The emotions create action, and the action creates results. That's the easiest way to understand being. And why being is very important, because I mean, you have a lot of researchers on science that people, 95%, that I think that was the percent, 90 or 95% of humans' actions is coming from emotion, right? From our emotional state, that's 95%. So now we can see what is the practicality of being. Being is incredibly practical because your actions, guys, are coming from your emotions, and you cannot escape fully from that. Some people say, I don't want to feel that. You cannot not feel. You're a human being. You're going to have emotion, and emotions, and your emotional state is very important. Your being state is very important because it actually helps you to create the results you want.
Right.
Otherwise, you need to take some people. I've been that in this place as well. They want to use their willpower to go against the emotional state to do the thing, but that's very exhausting. That's a lot of exhaustion there, right?
It is. I love that, and it's interesting. It's interesting. There's a few things I want to touch on there.
Yeah.
But the simplest way to sort of, it's really hard to have a conversation about this, but the simplest way to put it is I always often say is like, how are you showing up? That's a little bit more accessible. It's like, how are you showing up? Because the fact of the matter is we're being all the time. Like, so we can take that word out, like how, so you talk about emotions and stuff, but it's just really going inward as opposed to going outward, as we like to do. Because if we feel a little bit, then we'd like to blame other people and throw it out this way so we don't have to feel it. But it's a willingness to really ask yourself, okay, like, let's talk about emotions. How do I feel right now? You know,
Exactly.
how do I feel right now? Because and if you ask that question, that will tell you who you're being. Right? If someone cuts you off in traffic, how am I feeling? I'm angry. Okay, you're being angry.
Yes.
How do I feel when you know you're lying in bed on Father's Day and your young child brings you in breakfast? How are you feeling? I'm feeling love. Guess what? You're being love. It's really that simple. It really is that simple. Yeah. And it's interesting. I just want to sort of, I love this. So people hear us talking and I just want to be very clear that like this is a daily creation and a daily challenge that I practice in every moment of every day, and I know you do as well. And I just had that moment, like when you started to talk, and I don't know if anyone watching really could sort of see that. It's like I had a realization. Okay, we're actually live on the internet right now, and I had to go in and check who I was being because I was starting to stand up a little straighter and put on a little bit because I'm and I was not in it as committed as I was to really, really listening to you and just listening to what comes to me. And that's why we have such beautiful conversations. And so full disclosure, I was out of it. And that's okay. Right. Yeah. That's the thing though. It's like, I could have years ago, maybe not even years ago, I would have said, oh, what are you doing? You like, how can you do this? And beat myself up. And that's what we do. And guess who I'm being? I'm being judgmental to myself. Yes. I'm just being judgmental. So who am I going? I'm going to be more judgmental. And with that comes fear, and then comes insecurities, and I'm looking in the camera, and how do I look? And so you realize that it's I'm practicing right now being who I know I am from creating it every day, and then being that. And so whatever doing comes out of this in this conversation will be my commitment to being love. I just wanted to put that out there. Yeah, just because I think, people watching it, it's not like this is something you can attain and then you're done. It's like you just keep doing it. But the fact is we're doing it anyway. So why not create powerfully as opposed to create unconsciously? And, and if you don't know what you're creating, look around you. And you've created all of this by who you were being.
Yesterday, I was listening something to Tony Robbins, and it was like an interview, and they asked him, Tony, some people say that your programs are working for 1 year and then they stop working. And he started really laughing to that, and he was saying, yes, because these people stop doing stuff, right? They just stop doing it. People,
it's every day.
We have this notion, and we have this idea that we just do it once and then everything you're gonna just go like that. It's easy, but no, we just do it every day. We create every day. We create every day. I think everyone should understand that you every day you recreate your misery and your happiness, and you can
Mhm.
decide which of this you're gonna create. That's it.
Mhm.
You
Right.
can recreate your misery because some people I talk to them and clients also, they just say, but I feel all the time angry. I feel all the time,
Mm.
furious. And,
Mm.
and I have half an hour with this person, and this person doesn't stop complaining. And I said, man, just stop for a while and I just want to mirror back to you that for this 20 minutes, you all the time complain about stuff and you just recreate this misery for yourself. That's it.
Mm.
You say, what can I do? Just stop doing it. And
Mm.
it's yours, but that's not easy. No, no, it's not, but it's simple. Just stop doing it. Because
Yeah.
if you stop doing that,
It's not easy, but that's the thing.
oh,
This is the most simplest thing you will ever imagine, and it's also the most difficult.
yeah,
It really is. I mean, we say this like, okay, just do it, and it is, and it really is that simple. And then when you're not able to just do it, okay, that makes sense because most of us included, we don't understand why we do certain things. We don't understand it because it's a belief that we created when we were probably very young that is buried, and it's in it's below the iceberg, the subconscious mind, and it's what's running. It's the script that continues to run. And like, how many times have we done that? How many times have we talked about that with our clients? It's like, yeah, and I just exploded. I lost it, and I don't know why. I just keep doing it, right? Well, there's a belief that that person has that is running in the background, right? It's like malware, it's like a virus on your computer. It's
it's a virus.
constantly running, right? And we just don't know. We don't know how, but we can get rid of it. We can easily. And the thing is, and that's what we were talking about before we went live, is how we get rid of it. And how do we do this? Well, we touch it, we expose it, and then what do we do with
Accept
it?
it.
We dance with it. And
Yeah,
that's what I was sharing before this. I was on a call with like a group call with Byron Katie, who
yeah. Tell me more about that. Yeah, I
yeah, it
want
was
to
just
forget about
beautiful.
it. Yeah.
And that's actually, we had an interaction on that call, and it was it was just amazing. My 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 motivation for signing up for that call was, I've read her books, I know a lot about her, and I just really wanted to experience her being. So we're talking about that today. I just really wanted to experience someone who's been committed to this practice for over 40 years.
Can you tell a little bit
Base.
more about her for some people who haven't heard about her? So she does this practice called the work, right? That's one of
Yes,
her special practice.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I highly, it's been transformational for so many people, and our mentors like Steve Hardison and JP and all of these people, Steve Chandler, other people, Rich Litvin, they all have done the work, then they use it in their practice. It's 4 simple questions, and I encourage anyone, and it's very accessible on the internet, just Google it. And really, what her work, she was in a really, really hard place, believing the stories for so many years. And everyone thinks, well, my story's worse. It's not about that. And listen to her story, and you'll sort of say, okay. And she had sort of an awakening, if you will. And that's what came to her. That's my understanding. And then it was these questions. Can you know it's true? That's the first question. I'm paraphrasing, but it's that idea. So when you
Yeah.
say, I am this, okay, can you know that's true? Or this
I'm
situation
worthless.
is like
Let's
this.
say I'm worthless. I'm
I'm
worthless to a lot
worthless.
of people. Yeah.
Do you know that's true? Absolutely. Do you 100% know that's true? Right? But so then she'll go through this process, and then we flip it around. So yeah, so I highly encourage anyone who has never heard of Byron Katie. Her books are, I think what is Loving What Is, I believe, was her big
Yeah.
book.
One of
So
them.
anyways, I had never been in a space with her, and I really wanted to experience that. And I think the majority of the people on the call were there to do the work. And that was what the call was about. And that was kind of unbeknownst to me. I was familiar with it, but I just wanted to sit with Byron Katie for 2 hours and just experience her being. And whoa, it was just mind blowing. And we were talking about the work and the questions, and we had done some stuff and some questions. And as I was coming up, I did further have that epiphany of, wow, like these things are not going away. Like, oh, this, you were judging me when we were saying this, how could you do that? So we journal through that, so she judges me. Okay. So we went through that. And then I realized, wow, these are stories we've created, but it's not like we have an eraser and we just erase them. And so I had this idea that I wanted to share. And so there was a huge queue of people that were wanting to speak with her. And so I just put my hand up virtually, as you do on Zoom. And I was called on the next person, strangely. And it was interesting. So here I was, one-on-one, just like you and I are right now with Byron Katie. And I had been wallowing in her state of being for probably 50 minutes at this point. And I was just loving everything she shared and how she showed up with all of these beautiful people on the call, and how she just integrity and just connected to divinity, connected to home, her source. It was effortless, and nothing would throw her from that. So she's in it all the time, it seems. Anyways, and we asked that, and I just said, first of all, Byron, I'm just wallowing in your being and who you're being right now. And I thank you for that. And I said, with all of this, what comes to me is that we just need to learn to dance with it. Yeah. And there was this silence. And previously, she would listen and then respond, never giving advice, but just really guiding people. And we had this beautiful moment. You could feel the energy. And it was just silence. I think it was for upwards of 20 seconds, and we didn't say a word. And there was a knowing that when that came out of my mouth, and again, I surrender to universal intelligence. So, just like when we speak with our clients, it's just surrendering to that. It didn't come from Bradley Davidge. It came through me. And there was this knowing, and it was the being. And then I was wallowing in that. It was like a bath of being. It was unbelievable, of love. And then she said, oh, honey, yes, that's it.
Wow.
And it was just this moment, and it was like, wow. Anyways, it was cool. It was something that was very special, and showing up on that call, being love and curious, and just wanting to be in her being, allowed for that moment to happen. Wow. And yeah, I don't know. I share that now, and it's interesting. Something coming up inside of me now. It's like, well, you're sharing this, but anyone's going to watch this. Okay, and I don't even know the point of sharing it. I'm just sharing it. Hopefully, if that resonates with someone. But I guess it's the power. Like, I guess something that's coming to me right now is that, imagine if that was our life all of the time. You would literally be walking around on a cloud, because you would see things, but like we say, it's not what you look at, it's what you see when you look at it. When you're being that, you're seeing something completely different. It's not what you listen to, it's what you hear when you're listening to it, right? What kind of ears do you have on? And I was listening from a place of being. I wasn't listening from a place of, what can I get from her? I paid $50 for this call. I better get something out of this. Guess what I'm going to hear? That. Guess who I'm being? I'm not being love. I need to get something from this, right? So we can do that in a practical way. If you're in a meeting, a daily meeting at work that you have to go to every Monday morning, and you're like, okay, let's get this over with. Even that language. So who you being? What are you going to get from that? Zero. Maybe you'll go backwards. Whereas if you go, okay, we go to this meeting every week. I want to be that I hear something new. I want to be that I get something useful out of this. And then that doing will be completely different. Same meeting, same people. You're just controlling your state before you go in.
Yeah, and wow, I'm just listening, and I really thank you for sharing this being, man, with us, because I think that's the point of the conversation today, and any other conversation we have. So I love that you connected it also with the practicality in life, because I think
Mhm.
that's the disconnect which people see. A lot of people, as we spoke on in the beginning, they want to see the practicality, that how that's going to help them in their career, in their life, and everything. Not just feeling good, but also create something good in their life. And I think you beautifully explained that actually, once you are in this higher state of consciousness or being, like we use the vocabulary today, being, because as you said, anytime in our day we are in different type of place of being, state of being, right? We can
Mhm.
be angry, we can be hopeless, we can be caring, compassionate, loving, joyful. So what do you choose to be is going to create the life you want to create. So if you want to create a beautiful life with a lot of bliss and love and compassion around you, the easiest way to do that is to the simplest way, let's say not the easiest, but the simplest way is to just become that, right? To be that. And I think our job, honestly, Bradley, I'm saying it to everyone right now, our job with you is to help people understand the practicality of this in their life. I think that's the biggest thing, because when we
Yeah.
work as coaches with people and people start, What's going to help me?
Excuse
What are
me.
going to help me to do?" And you say, "I'm going to help you to elevate your being." What is that
Mm.
for?
Yeah,
That's the reaction
absolutely.
of some people. What's that
That's a
for?
beautiful point. Absolutely. We can get spirit. I'm so glad you mentioned that. Like it's interesting. I was working with a team recently and it was that exact same that scenario. And you really do we I think we spoke about this. I'm not sure if we did when we were live or not. And it was really understanding where people are at and loving that. And so people are where they are. So say you are someone who shows up to work all the time and you're angry or then that's okay because that's what that person can create at that time, and that's okay. But I would share, like, when you go in to speak to a group, um, like you're not going to come in and say, "Hey, you doing? I'm Bradley. We're going to talk about being," right? They're going to be like, "What?" So you look and see what's going on. So I was working with this gentleman. And he was leading a team at work. He was a VP,
Mm,
and he didn't understand why the team was not producing, not offering, not raising their hands, not offering, you know, solutions, and he'd have these meetings with them, and he was like, okay, this is and this has been going on for years. So you sort of sit in and you could say, okay, what's going on. You can say, who are these people being? Who is he being? Let's talk about that because that's how I was working. And we talked about it and we spoke about it. And so I suggested, okay, so when you're in this situation, how are you creating your team? What do you mean? How are you creating your team? How are you creating them? How are you seeing them? Well, they're lazy. They're they never have good ideas. Half of them are falling asleep during the meeting. Okay. And so what results are you seeing? Exactly those results. Right? So you talk about that. So even though I said, how are you creating them? Let's talk about the language. Let's see what's going on. So now, if you were to create them differently, how would you want them to be? Okay. I want them to be switched on. I want them to be listening to me. I want them to be, okay, create them that way. He even said stupid. They're stupid. Okay. So how do you want them to be? Okay. I want them to be intelligent. So what if they are that now?
mm,
And he kind of just stopped. Okay. Okay. Hmm. So we played with that and realized it. And then we flipped it around and said, who are you being right now? Who are you showing up as? And he didn't really understand it. We went for a walk, and then he kind of got a little bit angry. He says, like, this is not working. This is not working. And I think it was a couple weeks after he called me back and he said, wow, I get it. I get it. I'm creating them in a way to protect myself because
wow.
when I was a kid, I always needed to be affirmed. I always needed people to affirm me. So I've created a situation where I'm getting them, they're afraid. They're afraid to answer. They're afraid to do all of this because, their salaries, their bonuses all depend on me.
Yeah.
And so he got that. And he got the idea of who he was being, but it was practical to what's happening, what's being shared, how am I creating them, How am I creating myself? I don't know if I really made that simple. I think I made it, but in the moment, I don't know if I'm articulating this, but in the moment, it was really, really profound. And I love the reaction. So again, he challenged me. He said, "This isn't working. This isn't working." I could have got defensive. So it was a gift to me. It's a perfect example of how we're always in it. So I could have said, "Are you crazy?" No, 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 because I saw it and I saw him as love, and I was creating him in a way that he was not created himself. And by me creating him that way, he was able to see that. It took a couple of weeks. I said, "No, you're powerful. You're powerful. You are." And then he said, "Well, I've been struggling with this my whole life. I'm creating my team the way I created this group of people when I was in junior high in order for me to do this." And everything changed. And within, I think it was by the next quarter, there were people raising their hands. These people were intelligent. These people were contributing. They were staying late for work because they were so invested in the project. And
Wow.
just by switching that little switch of okay, just looking, again, it's not what you look at, it's what you see when you look at it, right?
Absolutely, man. You create your
Yeah,
life. You are not, like I said, like you are not a camera, but you're a projector in your life. That's the difference. Like
I
because
love that. Yeah, yeah.
we right, you're not a camera, you're a projector. You're projecting life. You're not taking it. Like so when
Absolutely.
you understand this shift, like you said, you understand this shift in life, and understand that once you learn how to project your life in the most efficient or effective way for you, for your life,
Mm,
for
mm,
you, you understand how powerful you can be and how
mm,
powerful you can create everything you want in your life.
mm,
People, and that means for me to have to really take full ownership on your life. You own your life in this way. You're
mm,
not victim of your life because when you believe you're a camera, you just are a victim. Whatever happens, happens. I'm just seeing
mm.
the. We believe that I'm seeing the objective reality. That's not objective. There is no objective. I was listening. I don't remember who was listening the last week. It was someone who was very high level in. They did some research on the objectivity of reality, and the scientist who was doing that said that we don't have as people enough resources to really see the reality objectively. We don't have it. So the only thing we can do is to see it from our own perspective. So the objective reality is something really way more complicated for our brain. That's what he was saying. So
Mm.
so that's why we are seeing it from our own perspective. That's the highest point we can go. And actually, if you understand that there is like JP said, maybe there is the subjective reality, but I don't know what it is. But I know what I know is that what is out there is is actually what is here in me. That's it.
Mm.
I'm seeing the same thing. I'm looking. I'm watching the same thing, but seeing different thing, right? You're watching it in a completely different way. Someone else is doing it in certain their way and something. And I think when people realize that fully, when people realize that um, they're doing it to themselves, no one else is doing it to them. It's not life is bad. Not people are maybe jealous and people are bad and people are angry or people are deceitful. You are creating that for yourself, and that
Yeah.
depends on your state of being.
And
And one thing
accepting.
I realize, the more you
Yeah.
go higher, David Hawkins, I'm sure that you know him. There is this book called Power versus Force, and he has created
Oh, yeah.
this
Hmm.
map of consciousness, which is really amazing. What we say is that the more we elevate ourselves in this consciousness or being, they're like synonyms in that, the more we see a little bit more objective the reality. That's what was his point. So
Mm.
the lower we go, the less we see. The higher we
Mm.
go, the higher we see. So when we say higher means when you're in the state of love, state of joy, state of bliss,
Hmm.
and the lower is state of anger. I think the lowest was state of shame. I think shame was the lowest point, and according to David Hawkins. But what I want to say with that is, this is absolutely tangible and absolutely practical for your life, guys. And with Bradley, we really want to give you saw the example that actually when the person you worked with changed his way of being, his doing changed and the results were different.
Yeah.
And he literally changed other people in a way.
You absolutely. He changed the whole situation. So a situation from the earlier state of being was creating him strife and stress, and everybody. Nobody wanted to go to the meeting, and within a quarter, everyone was excited to go to the meeting. Everyone felt heard because he was creating everyone so powerfully. I love the projector thing that you shared, and I would also add on to that is that the projector is running 24/7, 365. Like it's always running. So it's just who's behind it, who's actually looking through it. It's happening all the time, and that's really, if there's one point to really get through today, it's really that. It's really understanding you're doing it anyways. You're really doing it anyways. So what's something practical, like we could say, well, how do I? Okay, what? Just explore. Like if you were to sort of, if anyone's listening to this right now and they're like, okay, cool, but how do I use this? How do I use this? Right? I always like to say, just explore. Become your greatest student. Well, that's pretty cool. Become your own greatest student and look and say, okay, how am I creating these people? How am I creating this person? How am I creating my wife? I got to be honest. For me, when I changed that, my relationship with my wife completely changed. When I started creating her in a way, because it doesn't matter. It's not about the other person. It's really all that exists. Like right here, you and I, the only thing that exists is how I'm creating you and how you're creating me. And anyone else out there who's watching this is how they're creating us when they're watching this. And which is so beautiful is when you're actually listening to this, if there are judgments that come up about that, if you're like, oh, these guys are whatever, I don't get it, then that is just a mirror of the person that is having that judgment. It's got nothing to do with us.
I love that.
We've triggered something in that person, which is beautiful. So you can do whatever you want. You can say, okay, I'm not for me. That's fine, because that person's not going to hear anything because they're coming from that place. But just that concept, I didn't know we were going to go here today, but really the concept is, and this is, to me, this is the little T truth that is so true. We are not able to have a judgment against someone else if we don't already, or at some point, had that judgment on ourselves. It just wouldn't exist. It just wouldn't exist. So when you're walking around and you're judging this person and that person, like we say, it's just a mirror. Okay, what does that mean for me? That has nothing to do with that person. Zero. It has everything to do with you. Everything to do with you. And when you're willing to step into that, then you start moving around. You start, okay, I'm being jealous. What's that all about? And then you move that around. Of course, that's what we do as our work with coaches, is to move that energy around. But so, and people will say, well, how is that possible? Well, otherwise, because we don't judge ourselves all of the time. So you'll be in a situation, let's use us, for example. Someone else jumps on this call and goes, wow, these guys are amazing. This is so cool. I'm getting so much out of this call. This is really cool. I love it. No judgment. That person does not have that judgment against themselves. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed in what we said. It's the person that's viewing it. It's what they're seeing when they see it. So when you judge another, that only means that you at some point have had that judgment on yourself.
Or you still have it, but it's subconsciously. So it's
Absolutely.
like we
It's
always
there.
have this. Yeah, it is there, and that's a blessing. I think one of the biggest realizations for us, Bradley, is that I think it was the quote you shared a little bit from the quote, but it was like, what other people say or do is nothing about you, but everything. Nothing to say about you, but everything to say about them. So it's the same thing we're talking. The same thing you said. I just want to put it as a quote because I think people need to. I want to. I haven't put it, but I want to put this quote somewhere around me because I forget about it sometimes. And there is this. You cannot see it. No, you see it, but you cannot read it. Maybe behind me. It's by Marcus Aurelius, who says, the tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say or think or do, only what you do. So Marcus Aurelius was incredibly smart person. I have quotes from him everywhere. And
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
he was doing it like not about himself. He was studying from some people, but this time when he was living, there was not so many books. He was really wise person. He was really pondering. He was
Mm.
reflecting every evening on that. And
Can you
yeah,
repeat that quote for a second?
the tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say or do or think, only what you do.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I would
Yeah.
love to add on a little piece onto that, which is beautiful, because it's like some people will hear that and say, "Well, stop caring." And it's not necessarily, from my perspective, it's not that you stop caring. It's just, it really, that quote just really stands on its own to say, you need to look inward. It's about you. But again, it's not that you don't care what other people say. You actually love what they say. You love it, but it's a different perspective. You're not seeing it as blaming anybody or judging anybody. And that was a big mover for me. It was like, okay, well, screw everybody else. I'm just not going to, I don't care what you say. I don't care.
I love
I
it.
don't care
I
what,
love it.
I don't care what people
Yeah.
think about me. Right? So what is that? That means I'm in judgment of them because they don't understand me. So that's not what we're talking about, right? It's
No,
like, oh
no.
yeah, he said this. Okay. I like, and this might sound spiritual and everything else, but whatever.
It is spiritual. Everything is spiritual, anyways.
Everything's not spiritual, but everything is at the same time, right? But
Yes.
it's like when you see that person and he's like, okay, yeah, then I can honestly say, okay, love them for where they are. Thank them for allowing you to go inward, all this silently. Of course, you're not going to say this. Well, you might, but you're not going to say this to them. You silently bless them. And you love that came up, as opposed to, okay, whatever, screw you, buddy. You don't know me, right?
Yeah.
You're not,
So
that's not what we're talking about.
no. Oh, I totally agree with you. I'm sure that also Marcus Aurelius didn't meant exactly what
Oh,
when
100.
people read that. But the
No,
thing is,
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. I was just one quote, you get one quote, and
yeah.
then there's I mean, obviously he did, but I would just that was just for anyone that's listening, and even for myself to say it out loud. It furthers my learning. So sorry.
You know what?
I think I was cutting you off. I apologize.
Yeah, no, that's all right. What I learned from that is that actually, and what you said also is that when someone is having some opinion about you or sharing something about you, it's
Hmm.
not, yeah, you can take it. You can take it. You say, okay, thank you for that. I'm going to reflect on that. But also, I'm curious, why do you think like that? What in you made you think like that from me? So I want to get curious about the other person and help them as well, because if they react to me in certain way to something I said or I did, this means that there is something in them which created that, right?
It's how they're
Created,
seeing the world. It's how they see the
yeah,
world. Yep.
exactly. And if I would ask also the question, uh, where else in your life you're seeing like that, the things like that? Where else in your life you're seeing it like that? For example, if they're angry with me, where else in your life you're angry?
You're coaching all the time. I love it.
Right? Yeah. And I love it. Where else in your life? Because it's a pattern. Very often it's a pattern,
Mm, mm. And
right?
that takes tremendous courage. And of course, that's not about that person. That's about you taking the courage to say that, because the answer may be, "What are you talking about, man? Screw you. I'm not. What are you talking about?" Right?
Yeah.
Although you planted a seed by saying that, and
Yeah.
that person may 10 years down the road and say, "Dimmy, you remember that time when you said that?" There's a gestation period for all of this stuff, right? So we plant these seeds. We don't know when or how fast they're going to grow, right? But you would have shared that to this person out of love and appreciation for where that person is, and knowing truly who that person is, because we're all the same. We're all the same.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like when you think about thought, when we're all children, we don't really have the ability to use our words. We don't have that. So we just be. Like we're
Yeah.
just like, look at a baby. A baby's just being. It has certain needs. Like what did I hear the other thing? Like there are the only needs we have are like thirst, hunger. I can't remember what they are. But the point is like there's none of this. There's no stories, right? There's no stories. I shared a post probably a year ago now, or this summer, and I was watching my dog, and it just hit me. It's like he had just had a massive surgery on his ear, and he just kind of sat there, but he was just being like, animals are our greatest, nature, our greatest teachers. And I realized dogs don't have stories. They don't. They don't have stories. You can come home, whatever it is that's happening with your dog and you're training them, it doesn't matter. They just come back and I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here, right? There's no story. It's just being in the present moment. It's not, they don't think about, am I going to go for a walk later tonight? I hope so. I hope they take me for a walk. Am I going to get fed soon? No, it's the present moment. And there's no stories. I don't know why I went there, but I just thought that was
That's absolutely true. I mean, and I think they're great teachers to us. And
Absolutely.
Do you know what? And they're grateful. I think honestly, I have a little bit slight. I will shift a little bit my opinion when it comes to dogs specifically, because I've heard a lot about dogs and animals, and I agree with everything on an extent. But I think what I would agree the most, and my perspective on that, is that dogs, for example, of course, they love you. There is the aspect of that because you're feeding them, you are giving them home, and all of these things. I think we need to say that as well. But they are grateful that you're doing that. I think gratitude here for me, I don't know if they understand the concept of gratitude, anyways. But for me, what I see is this is a gratitude in action. They're grateful somewhere inside in their being that you are giving that to them, that you're giving them home, you're giving them food, you're giving them shelter, and so on and so on. That's what how I see it. And I think people, we forget about that. We forget to be grateful. If someone can give you everything, and this person is gonna do one maybe slight bad thing, and you just forget about everything, man. You just forget about everything, and you start, talking against this person, going away, and that intimate relationship is the same, right? You're just, someone is giving, and it's one thing, and then I don't want this person at all. But the animals are not doing that. I think that's my lesson from the animals. That they are grateful that you are feeding them, helping to them, and they maybe do sometimes you're just hitting them, or maybe do something, I don't know, not good about them. They don't. They just move on. They let it go, in a way, in their own way. I don't know what is their way, but they're doing it. With people not doing it. And I think when it comes to the conversation today and state of being, and learning how to do all of these things, now someone will tell me, but how I can get out of that? You get out of that by really focusing. First of all, as you said, being aware where you are, accept where you are, be okay with that, and then if you want to get out of that, start taking positive actions in this direction. And it's not easy. It's not easy to go from anger maybe to gratitude and love, or from fear to joy or something like that. But you can make it happen by really focusing on that and dedicate time, because this is for you and your being and your life. And if you don't do that, you're gonna stay with the other. You cannot just change it like that and make it happen. You just want to put your attention on that. And I think our work as a coaches is to help you being the pillar you are looking for, the pillar which every one of us need from time to time. It's not shameful that you want someone, you need help. It's not, for me, for you, for Bradley, for everyone. We are here to do that, and we are open to do that, to be this pillar who's going to help you to get out of this, to sustain in yourself this higher level of consciousness or being, which is going to help you to not only create everything in your life, but also to enjoy it.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, that's a beautiful share. And what I'd also like to add, I love that. Yeah, that's really great. And just to sort of put a button on the dog conversation, the animal conversation, is that one thing that's really evident is that they really are beautiful examples of how to be present.
Yeah.
Like they're not thinking. So like, where do we cause our as humans, where do we cause our strife? And it's living in the past or living in the future. It's not living in the present moment, right? Because that's all we have. And so, like, for example, if you look at a dog, and the dog again has these needs, so it's hungry, so it knows it's hungry, it wants to eat, and so you're preparing this food. Is he thinking about eating the food while he's watching you prepare the food? No, he's fully present to how you're filling the bowl and putting the food in the bowl. He's totally present. Then if you put the bowl down, then you say, if you ever try this and you walk away from the bowl, he's still looking at the bowl because he wants to eat. He doesn't understand that. He just wants to eat. He's fully present. Then you put the bowl down. He's fully present when he's eating. He's not thinking about what he's going to do after. He's not thinking about when he was a puppy, how he used to eat. He's eating the food mindfully, right? And then he comes out and he looks at you and he kind of is a little full. And he's in that moment. He's in the present moment of what it's like to be full, right? And so on and so on and so forth. But they're beautiful teachers of how to be present. And when we do that, like when we have these conversations, for example, when we're coaching our clients, when I'm sitting with my children or with my wife, and I'm just there, I'm not thinking about what we're doing next or anything else, then that's when your life becomes magical. It's like, wow, because you will miss this stuff. And I believe, as Steve Hardison says, there's gold. It's everywhere. And you will find it when you're present. You won't find it when you're living in the past or living in the future and wondering, oh, I used to do this, so this is who I am. Or I need to be this, I need to do that. No. It's living in the present. It's not planning. It's not like you don't plan for things, but you are every moment that you can be present, that's where you start to really, really understand. You start living life. You actually start living life. Yeah.
Yeah. So Bradley, I think we can close up our session today. It was really great, and
yeah.
Thank you for your being, man. Thank you for your stories. We will do it more, definitely. You just love these conversations, guys. I just will share our wisdom with you. It's so energizing to do that.
Yeah.
For me, and I'm sure for you.
As you can tell, I can't feel like I love it. And Dimmy started standing up. I love it. He sees his powerful.
Yeah,
so powerful.
I decided to do. I'm doing also my sessions like that because I have way more energy like that. So
yeah, it's just, and you're. Can I honor you before we go, because I think that you are so. You're always so present. You're just so connected, and you're just. I just want to honor your commitment and just who you are and how you show up all the time, Dimmy. Man, powerful. And it's just, I just love being in the space with you, and I love it. And I love it was your creation to, just press the button and go live for these things and share with more people. And so I'm so grateful for that too. And I just wanted to acknowledge that because it's just, love it. It's great.
Thank you for being my partner in crime, man.
Thank you, brother.
You
know it.
I love that. And
thank you for inviting me.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, I would always do that because it's just so beautiful. And honestly, guys, I always wanted to have. I was doing that even before these conversations. I was doing lives, but in some way, when we are two people, I feel even more connected to the divine, even more connected to my being. And I always was looking for someone would do that. It just felt right to do it with you, Bradley. So thank you for. I would just say it was my action to decide, but the creation was for both of us because we created it together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
and it got created because of who we were being.
Exactly.
Right? So if you want to bring this conversation full circle, it was because of that. If we weren't being who we were being before we had our conversations, we would never have co-created it. So
yeah,
love it. Yeah.
So have a lovely high-level being weekend, guys. So just go to your bliss of just for a while. Just be there. Do it actually. If you do it every second, you're gonna master your life. So
absolutely, it is that simple. Yeah. Yes. So just inquiry throughout the day. It's like, cool. That's it. Don't have to do anything. Just a different. Okay, cool. And notice it, and then move on. Just continue on, and eventually it will become more and more present. Love it.
We're gonna definitely have more conversations in this direction. And my intention, Bradley, I just want to share with you in front of everyone, is that I want to make this concept of being as tangible as possible for people, as more practical as possible for people, because it's like it's diamond, it's gold, it's so important, and I want it's my being, my soul craves to do that for people, because I see the
Mm.
value in it. And I think our mission is to do that for people. So we're gonna do, maybe we're gonna come, I don't know exactly with what, we're gonna come with some maybe case studies. We're gonna come with some ways to show you that. So help you
Mm.
guys
Yes.
to start implementing it in your life
Mm.
practically. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Cool. So Bradley, have a lovely weekend, bro. I know
You
you
too,
like
bro.
you have a gig this evening, so everyone to put some positive intention and positive emotion towards you.
Beautiful. It's like
Yeah,
we're doing it all the time. I love your
yeah,
projector analogy. It was amazing. So
yeah,
it's running all the time.
yeah. Cool, bro. So
Love
have a
it. Thanks, bro.
lovely time, and we're gonna see each other.